Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. We're going to be talking about Israel here, okay? Some major news coming out. All right, so if you look here on your screen, this is Benjamin Netanyahu on your right. On the left side, this is Antony Blinken, Secretary of State, okay? Benjamin Netanyahu is the Prime Minister of Israel. All right, so I put here that Israel will fight until absolute victory. Okay, why am I putting that? Well, Benjamin Netanyahu was just given a proposal for a ceasefire deal by Hamas. Okay, Hamas was able to come up with this deal and say, you know what, let's go ahead and cease fire for 135 days. So approximately like 4.5 months, I believe. And so basically immediately, Benjamin Netanyahu came out and said, no, we're not accepting any deal. They do not want to take any deal from Hamas. They are not willing to negotiate. They are hell-bent on eradicating Hamas, and they are going to fight till the bitter end until absolute victory. Okay, so I've got a video here pulled up. This is Benjamin Netanyahu talking about that a little bit. He's basically explaining here that we're on our way to victory, and we are going to keep pressing on until we completely eliminate Hamas. Take a look.
The destruction of this underground is what we are going to do till the very end. I would like to emphasize once again, there is no other solution other than this complete and decisive victory, because otherwise it is just a matter of time till the next massacre, and the axis of terror from Iran will continue. So only by destroying Hamas will we have security for the state of Israel in the north and in the south, because Hamas would like to radiate its terror all over the Middle East. I said to the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, we're just a touch away, a finger away from that decisive victory.
Okay, so as you can see there, he's not messing around here. And imagine, like, Israel has invested so much time, so much resources, their troops, money, everything. Like their country has been impacted by the Red Sea shipments, commercial shipments coming into the country. They've taken a major hit to their economy. They're not just going to give in to Hamas now and just accept this truce deal when they could potentially be attacked again. So what Netanyahu is trying to do here is he wants to completely eliminate Hamas, so that way this can never happen ever again. Now, will that actually happen? I don't know. Could Hamas submerge again? It's possible. But what they're trying to do is make the Gaza Strip safe again, take Hamas out of there, so that way they can't ever be attacked like what happened in October 7th of 2023. That massive attack on Israel, where thousands of people were killed, several were taken hostage as well. And many of these hostages are still being held down in the Gaza Strip till this day. So this ceasefire deal had like 3 phases to it. But what it was basically going to do was allow all of the hostages to be released over time throughout this 4-month period. And then on top of that, what Hamas really wants is they want Israel to withdraw their troops from Gaza. So that basically means that Hamas will still be allowed to exist in a way. Okay, and Benjamin Netanyahu is not willing to take that chance because he wants to completely eradicate Hamas. Okay, he wants them gone. He doesn't want to be dealing with them anymore, especially after what happened. I mean, I understand that point of view as well. So he's not messing around. So let's go into this article here and talk about this a little bit more in depth. So this is just starting to come out right now. I'm not finding it on major news outlets, but I did find a small Atlanta news outlet that's talking about this. Is from Georgia. Okay, so Netanyahu rejects Hamas ceasefire demands, vows to fight until absolute victory. Okay, so Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected Hamas's demands for a ceasefire and vowed to press ahead with Israel's military offensive in Gaza until achieving absolute victory, just like he said there in the video. He wants absolute victory. Okay, so this was February 7th. Okay, this was the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Israel's President Isaac Herzog. Okay, so they were discussing here on this ceasefire deal and what they could do about it. So, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday rejected Hamas's terms for a ceasefire and hostage release agreement, calling them delusional, a position that complicates efforts to strike a deal between the sides. Netanyahu vowed to press ahead with Israel's war against Hamas, now in its fifth month, until achieving absolute victory. So he's basically coming out and saying, too, that they should be wrapping up this operation within months. So what are we talking, maybe 3 to 6 months, something like that? Very possible they could be done with that. I'm going to be showing you a map here that shows how much of the Gaza territory has been controlled, or at least being worked on right now by the IDF, where they're clearing out these areas, searching for Hamas in these tunnels and trying to eradicate them. So Netanyahu made the comment shortly after meeting the visiting U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who has been traveling the region in hopes of securing a ceasefire agreement. Surrendering to Hamas's delusional demands that we heard now not only won't lead to freeing the captives, it will just invite another massacre, Netanyahu said in a nationally televised evening news conference. So let me know what you think about that, what he says there. So he's basically saying, if we just leave, will they let these hostages free? Will they not? And then also, would that just encourage Hamas to try to invade Israel again and cause another massacre like what we saw on October 7th? And he says we are on the way to an absolute victory, adding that the operation would last months, not years. There is no other solution. That's what he states. So see, he is 100% committed. He is not willing to negotiate. He's going to keep pressing on with this offensive inside of Gaza until Hamas is gone. He ruled out any arrangement that leaves Hamas in full or partial control of Gaza. He also said that Israel is the only power capable of guaranteeing security in the long term. Earlier, Blinken said that a lot of work remains to bridge the gap between Israel and Hamas on terms for any deal. He was expected to hold his own news conference later Wednesday, so I guess we'll be finding out what Blinken's going to be saying here. Hamas laid out a detailed 3-phase plan to unfold over 4.5 months, responding to a proposal drawn up by the United States, Israel, Qatar, and Egypt. The plan stipulates that all hostages would be released in exchange for hundreds of Palestinians imprisoned by Israel, including senior militants, and an end to the war. So that was a big part of it right there, was that the war would be ended. Okay? So what does that say now? Now that this means that we know for sure this war is going to be going on for another, maybe 3 to 6 months, maybe longer, who knows? However long it takes for Israel to eradicate Hamas, right? So the U.S. is going to have to stay down near Yemen. They're going to have to keep their naval fleet down in Yemen to protect Red Sea shipping, because the Houthis said they will continue attacking until the Gaza war is over. And then also in the Middle East, in Iraq and Syria, U.S. troops are coming under attack basically weekly by drones and missile attacks from other militia groups throughout the Middle East that are Iranian-backed. So what does that mean? We're going to continue to see more attacks over there. And will the attacks become more aggressive? It's very possible they could be, because we're getting close to the point where Israel's going to be, wrapping up their operations down here. And what if these militia groups don't want Hamas to be destroyed? What if they want to try to prevent that from happening? Okay, we may see a step up in attacks on U.S. troops in the Middle East, and potentially these groups could be trying to go after Israel as well. It could happen. So Israel has made destroying Hamas governing, and military abilities one of its wartime objectives. And Hamas's proposal would effectively leave it in power in Gaza and allow it to rebuild its military capabilities. U.S. President Joe Biden said Hamas's demands are a little over the top, but that negotiations will continue. So they're going to continue negotiating, but at the same time, Netanyahu is not going to be willing to end this war. Okay, not until Hamas is gone. He's going to continue fighting down here until they are completely finished. And they really don't have a lot of Gaza left to eradicate here. There's not a lot left to work with. So yeah, definitely within a few more months here, we could be seeing Israel getting close to the end of their operation down there and maybe start to wrap things up, pull some troops back. But then the next big question is, are they going to go after Hezbollah? We'll have to see if they do that, because they're gonna have to eventually allow their citizens to move back to the north side of Israel. They had to remove them and evacuate them from the northern Israel areas due to attacks by Hezbollah from Lebanon. So we're gonna have to see where that goes, but that's another story. I'll do a video on that when that time comes. But real quick, I want to talk about this. We're just going to briefly go over this article here. Okay, so this one says, Israeli defense minister says Hamas is not safe anywhere in Gaza. Okay, Palestinian Hamas fighters are not safe from Israeli forces anywhere in Gaza, including in the last areas, such as the southern city of Rafah. So I'm going to be showing you Rafah here in just a minute on a map. Okay, I'm going to pull open a map and we'll take a look at where Rafah is at. It's right on the border of Egypt. And I'm going to show you, it's like an interactive map that shows so much of the operations inside of Gaza from the IDF, how much they've taken over, how much they're controlling, all that kind of information. So it says here where Israeli forces have not yet been deployed. So they haven't been to Rafah yet. That's basically the very southern portion. They've taken over a good 60% or so of Gaza already. Any terrorist hiding in Rafah should know that he will end up just like those in Khan Yunis and the city of Gaza. In the city of Gaza. Yoav Gallant said at a press conference in Tel Aviv on Monday. So this is Yoav Gallant right here. He's the defense minister for Israel. Okay, so Gallant alluded to the fact that the army has smashed numerous Hamas combat units in Gaza City and Khan Yunis. Khan Yunis is more south. It's like maybe the third section going south of on Gaza. Okay, it's like the lower portion of it, not completely south, but a little bit before that. And that's where a lot of the fighting is going on right now in Khan Yunis, killing thousands of its fighters. A good half of Hamas terrorists are dead or seriously wounded, he said, with 18 Hamas battalions routed and no longer existing as fighting units. So if this is true, that's a large portion of Hamas already taken out. So I see why he wouldn't want a ceasefire deal. They're right there. They're so close to just finally eradicating them and being done with them. So I guess I agree with that to a sense. If you invested all that time, all the resources, the money, you took a hit economically in your country, like why would you stop now when you're so close to finishing the job? I get it. I understand that. Gallant first mentioned as a possible army advance on Rafah on Friday. So very possible we could see the Israeli army moving into Rafah, and I'll show you again where that's at in just a moment. So around 200,000 people live in Rafah before the war, and is currently crowded with more than 1 million Palestinians who have fled the fighting from other parts of the Gaza Strip. It must be so packed down there in Rafah. Crazy that 1 million people in Rafah when it originally only had 200,000 people. Now it's got 4 or 5 times that. It's crazy. There must be so many people. So it's on the border with Egypt. Cairo fears that military operations in the border town could lead to a rush of desperate Palestinians to the Egyptian Sinai Peninsula. So, yeah, Egypt is definitely worried about that. They're worried about a bunch of Palestinians fleeing into Egypt. You know, especially when, like what's going to happen down there? Whenever, let me show you this map here. What's going to happen down here, this is where Rafah is at, right? Rafah is right here. So it's in the very southern portion. We zoom out a little bit, you can see it a little bit better. So this section down here is where Rafah is, okay? And all these blue areas is where the IDF has basically, they're working to clear these zones. So you can see a large portion of the northern end of Gaza is already in IDF control. Looks like they got a little bit left here to work on. And then after that, once they finish up operations here, they can start moving towards Rafah. And this is where that 1 million Palestinians are down here in this area. Like imagine 1 million people here in this tiny little section of Gaza. And then the border of Egypt's right here, right? This is the border, this gray line here. And where are all these people going to go when all these troops start to push in, you know, and start clearing all these zones? It's going to get very interesting here because we're probably about two, maybe 3 weeks away max, where Israel is going to have to be reporting to the International Court of Justice on whether they're maintaining their casualty numbers. Okay, like how many Palestinians are they killing innocent people, or how many innocent people are being killed by these airstrikes? Okay, like how are they're supposed to be basically minimizing their number of casualties to innocent civilians in Palestine, or in Gaza, to the Palestinians, right? And how are they going to be able to do that when they come down here and there's 1 million people? So the Gaza Strip had roughly, I want to say, about 2 million people throughout the entire Gaza Strip. Now, half of that is all pushed down to Rafah down here right now. When they get to Rafah, how are they possibly going to be able to go after Hamas and not hurt civilians? Like, it's going to be almost nearly impossible. There's going to be tons and tons of people getting killed in that event. And I just really been thinking about it, and I'm just confused on how they're going to be able to do that. And whenever they have to report to the World Court, on these genocide accusations, it's going to look really bad when they go into Rafah, and they're unfortunately, a lot of innocent people are going to get killed there, lots, because there's literally half of the population in Gaza is down here in the south right now, and they all fled down here because if they stay in the north, they could potentially get bombed by Israel. So they were told to go south, so almost all of them are in Rafah right now. So imagine 1 million people down here, all at the same time when the IDF starts moving in to clear this out. It's going to be a bloodbath down here, and a lot of innocent people are going to get killed. So I'm not sure what Israel's strategy is going to be here to eradicate Hamas completely, especially if the World Court orders a ceasefire, because Israel is not meeting the demands of the court. Okay, and if you're not really aware of that, if you're kind of confused about what all that is, well, right now Israel has presented themselves to the International Court of Justice on allegations of genocide inside of Gaza. Okay, so South America brought accusations to the World Court and said, hey, Israel is committing acts of genocide in Gaza. We want this looked into. And they basically were able to state here that Israel could be committing genocide, and they want the casualty numbers brought down because way too many people have been killed. Then obviously people get killed in war, right? But they want the numbers to be brought down greatly. They don't want innocent people being killed by this, but it's just the way it is going to happen. And if they don't do that, they could order a ceasefire, on Israel's operation here in Gaza, and that could be a big deal because Benjamin Netanyahu also said, no matter what anybody says, even if a court, the International Court of Justice says, hey, you need to end this war in Gaza, they will continue. He said that already. They no one will stop them, is what he said. That came from his mouth right here, Benjamin Netanyahu on the right side of your screen. So we're going to have to see what happens here. It's going to get very interesting in the next couple months when they really start to move into Rafah, because there's a lot of innocent civilians there in Rafah right now. So that's going to be it that I have for this video here. I hope you got some information out of this. And yeah, it looks like Israel's going to keep pressing on with their operation. They are not going to commit to any ceasefire deals at all. And, will we see Benjamin Netanyahu at some time? Maybe will he fold? He could fold at some point and take a ceasefire deal. But at this time, it looks like he's staying pretty firm, and he's just going to keep pressing on with this operation. So again, thank you so much for hanging out here. Really appreciate you. If you enjoy this video, please like the video. And if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing to the channel, hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you as soon as a new video is live, and we do put out several updates a day on different types of news. So thank you so much again for being here. Hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care, God bless, and we'll see you later.